Warning! This episode contains foul language, graphic imagery, and a brief disturbing situation dealing with childbirth and trauma.
Hello, guys and ghouls. You are listening to Keep It Weird, the podcast for all things strange, unusual, paranormal, supernatural, creepy, sticky, gross, scary, and everything in between. Each week we have the pleasure of sitting around and chatting about something weird. And this week is a very special edition of Keep It Weird, something we've never done before. There's nothing better than a good spooky story to get you in the Halloween mood. Some horror stories make you squirm, some keep you up at night, and others chill you straight to the bone. So turn off your lights and settle in. My name is Ashley, and today I'm joined by the ever so charming Joe Oakes.
Coming to you from beyond the grave.
How would you Simpsons Treehouse of Terror-ize your name?
That's probably the best question anybody's ever asked me.
Wow.
I'm shocked to say that I've never been asked and I've never thought about it.
I know, me neither.
I would say maybe just because my first name and my last name.
Joke's on you.
Joke's on you. Oh my God, that was what I was going to
Really?
say.
Wow, we should get married.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, you wore me down.
All right, fine.
Hi, everybody. It's Joe.
Hey, it's Joe, guys. Remember?
Remember me? Well, I'm back.
Well, he's back from the dead.
No!
I don't know what mine would be. Ashley, Grandma Death Cassidy. That's what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be Grandma Death. Joe, today I'm going to be telling you some horror stories that some awesome Redditors have granted me permission to read.
Oh boy. I'm rubbing the palms of my hands together. I'm wringing my hands in anticipation. Let's get this going.
Joe has never heard these stories unless he snuck onto my computer, logged into my email, and found where I hid them.
Which I'm fully capable of.
He's fully capable
Just
of
for the
doing.
record,
He's very
just in case
good.
you think I can't do that, I can do that.
He's very good at technology, and he never asked for my help on any of it.
I'm so bad at technology that I'm often foiled by plastic. That's how bad I am at technology. That's one of the, most groundbreaking inventions of the 20th century still plagues me.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
I know.
Things just don't. Things like that don't
They just don't make sense to you. It's okay, sweetie. That's why I'm here. That's why we're getting married. Because you need someone to turn your computer on.
Someone's going to have to take care of me.
Listeners, this is not a Listener Ghost Stories episode. That is going to be next week, and it's a doozy. These are horror fiction stories.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
One reminder before we get into the stories, you have about 9 days to carve, paint, or decorate a pumpkin and send us a picture to participate in our pumpkin contest. There's a ton of things you can win: buttons, magnets, a painting of your choice, and even an invite to a Zoom party with me and Lauren. And I'm sure Handsome Joe will pop his head in, right?
Not only am I going to pop my head in, but if you actually don't submit for this, I'm going to get your address off the internet, and I'm going to drive to your house, and I'm going to smash all of your pumpkins. And silly string your bushes.
Bushes.
Your bushes.
Your bushes. Yeah, and he's from the Northeast, so don't think he won't do it.
I will.
He's got plenty of practice in smashing pumpkins.
So much pumpkin smashing practice. Let me tell you what, listeners of Keep It Weird, from the years 1995 through 1999, I was one of New England's foremost pumpkin smashers. I was at the top of my game. I was in my prime, and a tragic thumb in an eye injury on Halloween night sadly put an end to my my pumpkin smashing
Your illustrious career as a
yep.
pumpkin smasher.
But nevertheless, in those 4 years, I left my mark on the community of Avon, Connecticut. And I believe the kids still talk about it.
I never smashed pumpkins, and I never egged anyone's house or anything like that. But I have TP'd so many houses. I'm sure I talked about this on the show before, but TPing was a sport in my hometown. Everyone did it, and it happened like from the time school started back up to like Christmas. It was the TPing season. It was never ending. And my mother was so cool because she took us TPing, and she got a huge van and took the seats out and just threw a shit ton of kids and toilet paper in the back, and we just went around just
TPing everybody,
wreaking havoc.
You've been charmed.
Yeah. I was pretty good at it. I'm not gonna brag or anything, but I was pretty good at TPing. But that's harmless fun.
That's good old-fashioned fun, unless it happens to rain. At which point...
Unless it rains.
At which point you will try to strangle the first child you see on November 1st.
Yeah.
Just in case they happen to be the one who did that to your property.
Yeah, so submit a pumpkin just because it's fun, because it will make me and Lauren happy, and so you don't have a visit from the Halloween Krampus.
I'm coming.
Just Joe Oaks.
Don't think I won't. I will. And I will not stop at the pumpkins. If there are any decorative gourds, I will smash those as well. It could be a squash. It could be if it's autumnal. Mm-hmm. If it's a harvest vegetable, it's fair game.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straw man. Guess what? Now that's my plaid shirt. I'll also rob you. That's what I'm saying. I will smash your pumpkins and I will steal your property.
He'll take your ladies too. Okay, so I'm just going to hop right into it. Our first story today. Oh, by the way, just so everyone knows, just so everyone can like paint a picture of where we are in the absolute darkness of our apartment. I have the lights turned off.
Very dark.
We've got some like reddish lighting and some little candles lit.
There are several candles lit. There is a spooky lamp with a special light bulb that's throwing a kind of magenta-ish light from it. Very faintly. A lot of cobwebs. A lot of skulls.
Of cobwebs.
It's Halloween in here for sure. Ashley's face is ever so slightly illuminated by the light of her laptop, giving it almost the flashlight under the chin effect.
Yes,
very effective.
What I'm going for.
This is what it's all about,
this
ladies
is a dream.
And gentlemen. Let's get this rolling.
All right, let's do it. Our first story today comes from Redditor DarkAlliGator. And I was actually struggling to choose between two stories they wrote. So you should absolutely look them up on Reddit if you want more of these. And that's DarkAlliGator, dark as in, like it is in my apartment. Alli, A-L-L-I, Gator, G-A-T-O-R. And the reason I spelled that out separately is because it's capital A and capital G. You feel me? Look them up. This story is called Guardians. He awoke to the huge insect-like creatures looming over his bed and screamed his lungs out. They hastily left the room, and he stayed up all night, shaking and wondering if it had been a dream. The next morning, there was a tap on the door. Gathering his courage, he opened it to see one of them gently place a plate filled with fried breakfast on the floor, then retreat to a safe distance. Bewildered, he accepted the gift. The creatures chittered excitedly, and this happened every day for weeks. At first, he was worried that they were fattening him up, but after a particularly greasy breakfast left him clutching his chest from heartburn, they were replaced with fresh fruit. As well as cooking, they poured hot, steamy baths for him and even tucked him in when he went to bed. It was bizarre. One night, he awoke to gunshots and screaming. He raced downstairs to find a decapitated burglar being devoured by the insects. He was sickened, but disposed of the remains as best he could. He knew they had just been protecting him. One morning, the creatures wouldn't let him leave his room. He lay down confused but trusting as they ushered him back into bed. Whatever their motives, they weren't going to hurt him. Hours later, A burning pain spread throughout his body. It felt like his stomach was filled with razor wire. The insects chittered as he spasmed and moaned. It was only when he felt a terrible squirming feeling beneath his skin that he realized the insects hadn't been protecting him. They had been protecting their young.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Into it.
Yeah,
that reminds me of a scary story.
Yeah, it's like the worst version of the insect bite. The red bite on the cheek. Where she's like, what is this? It's a pimple that won't go away. And then like all the except for they're in his entire body.
DarkAlliGator's guts. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I really like that idea. Waking up in terror, and then it's like, wait, they're taking care of me?
Wait, they're taking really good care of me. Why?
Huh. Yeah, into it. Great story.
Yeah, thank you, DarkAlliGator, for letting me read that. This was one of the squirmier stories that I read while trying to find short stories for this episode.
Yeah. You're the host, pal.
What was your favorite scary stories to tell in the dark episode? Story.
Oh.
Like it's a TV show. It is a movie now. I haven't seen it, but
the scarecrow one used to scare the crap
Harold.
out of me. Yeah.
Harold.
Yeah, the scarecrow one that's the one that's the one that really jumps out at me.
That one was really messed up.
Yeah. What about you?
I really like the one where I don't remember because there was two. There was one where like a butcher started serving people as meat, but then there was another one where a woman was cooking dinner for her husband and the sausage that she was going to use went bad, and her husband like beat her and was super abusive, and she was like afraid that he would like take it out on her when he got home, and she didn't have dinner ready, so she went next door and killed the neighbor and used the meat to feed her husband because that was better than like his reaction.
Yeah.
That was one of those where it was like, that's really messed up. That's really dark. Yeah,
it's really funny, too, because I remember checking that book out of my elementary school library.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I checked that out of the Roaring Brook Elementary School library, probably in like, I don't know, 1993.
Yeah.
I was in third grade. Yeah.
Because there were three of them. There were like scary stories to tell in the dark.
Access to that book.
More scaries to tell in the dark, and like even more scary. There were 3 books.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think I checked those out of the library like multiple times each, to the point where it's like, do you want me to just buy this for you?
Right.
Because books are not that expensive.
The illustrations in those were unbelievable.
I know. And when I worked at Barnes & Noble back in like 2012, they re-released Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark with new illustrations. And they weren't scary at all. Like, the illustrations were, like...
lame.
Very, very tame illustrations. And it was like, you got to realize, like, those were the scariest part, because a lot of the stories were just...
stories are pretty basic.
Urban legends.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, still, they're scary as hell when you're, 9.
A child.
Yeah, of course. But those illustrations, that's what was haunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, listeners, I believe October 25th, Sunday, October 25th, that night, Lauren and I are both going on Goth Yearbook again, and it's a Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark episode. So if you like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, if you like us, if you like Goth Yearbook, I don't know if anyone tuned into them the last time I was on, but they're a lot of fun. So we're doing a whole episode about Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
And if you don't tune in and listen to it, I am going to get your address off the internet, and I'm going to drive to your house, and I'm going to smash all of your pumpkins.
No.
I will.
Joke's on you.
That's a promise.
Okay, this next story comes from Emma, and you can follow her on
Emma?
I almost said it.
What?
Gemma. 1 banana. 2 banana. That's an SNL character we really enjoy named Gemma.
No, you even threw that inflection on it. You made her sound like instantly. It's like, her name's Emma. She's very clearly from the UK. Emma.
Emma.
What? Yeah,
Well,
go ahead.
You can follow her on Instagram during spooky season. Her Insta handle is @spooky_Imola. That's EMMALA. And during the off season, she is @sunny_Imola. We started following her on Instagram. She's super cool and would fit right in with you guys. So go make a new friend. And she writes spooky stories. So this story is called There Is No Off Switch. And Joe, I think you'll particularly get a kick out of this one. I chose it for you specifically. Intertech has announced its latest revolutionary product, the Workday Chip. With this product, a person can go a whole workday and not even know it. It automatically initiates a sleep sequence in the user's brain, then controls their muscles so that they can do their job while completely unconscious. All of a person's energy can now be put into the things that really matter: hobbies, family, friends. They never have to think about work again, unless they're picking up their paycheck. Soon, this chip became a regular part of life. Some companies even started giving it out for free to employees. It was a win-win. The companies got more efficient workers, and the employees no longer had the stress of a job. You could hardly even tell a person was unconscious. The chip recognizes patterns and could converse just like its user would. For a while, this seemed like the perfect system. 3 years after the implementation of the Workday chip, the disease broke out. It was nicknamed the Red Flame Disease, and it caused a terrible combination of coughing up blood and intense burning pain. It spread like wildfire, and soon the majority of the population was affected. Even though most people were in no state to work, the chips forced them to automatically. There was no off switch, and it was able to pick locks or even break down doors in order to get its user to work. In the end, it didn't matter if a person had a chip or not. Everyone ended up dead. From the moment you first coughed up blood, you had mere days left to live. The disease didn't discriminate between the old and the young. Every single person eventually succumbed. It all happened so quickly that most bodies never even got taken care of. They were just left in their homes to rot away. Now, roaming the streets are corpses, doing nothing but going through the motions as if they were ghosts. Dead baristas try to ask customers that don't exist for their order, but some no longer have tongues. Shriveled hands work in factories to produce gadgets for no one. Businessmen look before crossing the street on their way to work, but no longer have any eyes. These ghost-like beings are stuck in a strange purgatory. They are dead, but not at peace. Watching over these ghosts are the CEOs, the top 1%. They live in elaborate bunkers and clink glasses, laughing about how they will never have to pay another worker again. The Workday chip has no off switch, and that's exactly how it was meant to be.
That's the best story I ever heard. I love that. I absolutely adore a good anti-capitalist message.
Fuck the rich.
I love it. That's the plight of the working class. Just zombies trudging back and forth, spending the majority of their lives doing shit they couldn't care less about or actively hate.
While the rich get richer.
Yep.
Their yachts get bigger.
Outstanding.
Great job, Emma. We love that story.
Yeah, that was, man. Yeah, that one's sitting in my bones right now. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Emma.
Emma. Thank
Emma.
you. I also, the thing is, though, too, I'd take it. I'd do the Workday chip.
Well, that's funny. I couldn't help but think, like that's when the infections broke out, or and then everybody started dying, and on their deathbeds, everybody was just thinking like those were the best goddamn 3 years of my life.
Wouldn't trade them for the world.
I wouldn't trade those 3 years and not knowing I was at work. Yeah.
You almost slipped into your Homer voice there.
Did I?
Yeah.
I'm not even going to embarrass myself by trying to do it. It was an accident. I can't do Homer.
You can't do Homer? You can do some Simpsons.
Ah, jeez, Homer. Jeez. I can do Mo.
You can do Mo. You can do, Here's the thing, guys. Joe is actually really, 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 really good at impressions until you ask him to do an impression, and then he's a apricot.
Because I hate myself.
Yeah, it's because I hate myself.
It's all just because I hate myself. Nothing to worry about.
Member of the ASA Collective Women's Podcasting Network. Ghost stories are always scarier when they're told by the very people who experienced them. Hi, I'm Becky.
And I'm Diana.
And we're the hosts of the Homespun Haints podcast.
We talk to people just like you who've come face to face with ghosts, demons, haints, and other strange paranormal phenomena. All of it makes for a chilling good time.
So grab yourself a sweet tea, turn off the lights, and listen to some eerie, true ghost stories on Homespun Haints, wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm not scared. Are you?
Alrighty, so this...
Yeah, lay another mamma jamma on me, man. Yeah.
This next story is by author Gabriel Valdez Oro. Gabriel actually has a book of short fiction available for download via Amazon, and it looks awesome. It's called Flesh Fiction, Lasting Shivers from Super Short Horror Stories. And I'll also provide the link for you guys as well, so you can have easy access. This story is called Annoying Neighbor. I used to live in a small building downtown. One of the reasons I moved out was the bad neighborhood, including this guy in the apartment right over mine. He was a weird-looking fella who mostly kept to himself. Around midnight, though, there was frequently a strange noise that got on my nerves. It wasn't loud, to be fair, but I have really light sleep, so it was hard to get my eyes shut with those little bumping sounds going on and on. It reminded me of high heels walking about, but not as loud, as if the person causing the noise was actually trying to be silent. After a few days, I realized the pattern was always the same, like a recording played over and over with random intervals in between. And that went on for the better part of a year. Always the same sequence of bumps slowly tattooed into my mind, sometimes for hours straight during the night. It was only several years later, helping my daughter with her homework, that I learned a little bit of Morse code. She knocked on the table with her knuckles, and a shiver immediately went through my spine as I recognized that exact pattern. When I asked her what it meant, she laughed. "It's the easiest one, Daddy," she said. "It's the one to call for help."
Yikes. For a year?
For a year.
Oh, no. What was going on up there? What were they doing?
I imagine someone was being held captive.
Well, yeah.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure. I can't see your face, so I don't know if you're being sarcastic because the lights are all
specifics.
out. Oh, yeah,
What were they doing? Calling for help for a year?
Yeah.
That's like, that reminds me of Seven. That guy that Kevin Spacey
God.
just tied up and tortured. Also, don't give me that spoiler alert bullshit. That movie's 25 years old.
If you haven't seen
it by now, that's on you.
If you haven't seen, I'm about to tell you what's
How
in
have
the
you not
box.
seen Seven?
I'm about to tell you what's in the box.
What's in the box? Great story. We are 3 for 3.
I know, they're all really good.
I wasn't expecting there's going to be one shitty one. That's not what I'm saying, but I've really enjoyed all 3 stories so far. Yeah.
It actually, this one, reminded you of Seven.
Piping fresh.
It reminded me of the time that I lived in this apartment.
Yep.
And I heard, it was always during the day, I heard someone calling for help. And
Oh, yeah.
I told you this story.
Yeah.
Fucking ACAB, fuck the police. So basically what happened is I would notice that during the day, it was only during the day. Are you laughing at me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was only during the day I would hear someone shouting for help. It was a man's voice, and sounded so scared, and he was shouting for help. And I couldn't hear it clearly enough to hear what he was saying or what. And I started thinking to myself, well, it's during the day. Maybe this person's screaming for help while maybe they're being held captive, and whoever's holding them captive is off to work during the day, and that's why I hear it during the day. I was just getting worried about it. And one day it was particularly loud. Again, I'm in my apartment, so it's a little bit muffled, but I can definitely tell he's screaming for assistance or help. So I call the police, and I talk to a woman, and then she transfers me to a man, and I explain the situation. And they were like, well, where's it coming from? And I was like, well, I think it's the house next door. I mean, I don't know where it's coming from. They're like, well, we can't really do anything unless you tell us where it's coming from. And it's like, okay, well, can you send someone and just like have them roll down a window and listen to see if they hear anyone screaming for help?
Right.
And they're like, we can't send anyone unless we know where we're sending them. And I gave them my address. I was like, come here, like come to this address and like see if you
Have
hear.
them come to this address and roll the windows down.
They literally were like, basically like, no, figure out where it's coming from. It's like, I'm not going to go knocking on doors to figure out where this sound's coming from. And then eventually, the conversation was coming to an end, and I was like, well, is there any way I could at least report it? Like, I just want to report that I heard this. That way, if someone else calls in and reports that they heard it, then you'll have a prior report. So that's 2 people, so maybe someone will get sent out. And they're like, no, we don't really have a...
And they were like, lady, what don't you get about this? We're not gonna help you. We don't care.
I was like...
How many different ways do I have to tell you? We don't care.
But what's crazy than all of that is that when the neighbors that lived there moved out, I haven't heard a scream since.
Well, the guy's dead.
Well, yeah, the logic would say that he's dead.
The guy's dead. That's why.
But there's so many different things. Like it could have been, someone with a developmental disability who was screaming for. Like I don't know what they were screaming about.
Or it could have been a person with dementia.
Yeah.
Like it could have been someone rehearsing.
But it would have been nice if a fucking cop.
It could have been. We do live in Los Angeles. It could have been someone rehearsing the same scene for a really long time.
Yeah, hoping to get that part.
Just really hoping to get that part of dying man number 1.
Yeah, you're right.
Please. Ow. Please help me. How's that?
That was pretty good.
Not bad.
Yeah, no, that's not bad at all.
It lacked fear, but that was more of a volume issue than anything.
Yeah. We don't want to disturb our neighbors.
I half-assed it. I'll cop to it.
As much as our neighbors disturb us, we don't want to disturb them.
Nope.
Yeah, so it could have been a lot of things, but it sure would have been fucking nice if anyone's listening who's a cop. If the cops would have at least gone by, knocked on the door, and made sure everyone was okay. But whatever. I'm going to read our last story before I get all worked up.
Don't get me worked up.
Don't get me started.
If you get her worked up, I will get your address off the internet. I will drive to your house, and I will smash all of your pumpkins.
All of your autumnal vegetables.
All of your autumnal harvest vegetables.
Gone.
Are hitting
in the blink of an eye.
They're hitting the ground.
This final story is by B.T. Joy, and I'm obsessed with it.
Okay.
I really, really love it. I love science fiction. I will say, though, trigger warning, this story has some very disturbing elements, and I don't want to spoil the story or the surprise, so as this is the last story in the episode, just, listen at your own risk, basically.
Wow. You hear that, kids?
Hear it?
It's about to get real good. Stick around.
This story, again, by B.T. Joy, is called Star Children. The scientific community called them Star Children. I can still remember how amazing the sight was at first. Every star in the night sky had a double, a perfect replica that, though visible, didn't register on astronomical instruments. For nights, me and my fiancée Jane would lay in our yard and look up at that spectacular mirror image sky. 2 heavens, one laid like a transparency over the other. It was very romantic. Our daughter was conceived on one such night under the double light. Before the first week of the phenomenon was even over, every news channel was repeating the same mantra. Stay indoors during nighttime hours. Don't go out after dark. CNN lined up a dozen experts a cycle. They started by telling us that the star children would cause blindness if viewed directly. No one believed the experts. 100 conspiracy theories were hatched about what the star children really were. In the end, the government didn't give us a choice whether or not we took their advice. A nationwide curfew was passed. Me and Jane watched as similar lockdowns were ordered worldwide. We were allowed to go outside during the daytime, but come dark, we were confined to our homes. We were told never to look at the stars. Life went on as usual. Jane had morning sickness and weird cravings, just like any other pregnant woman. Things only improved in the second trimester. We got our ultrasound. They told us it was a girl and that her heartbeat was healthy. I'd lay at night during lockdown with my ear against Jane's tummy, listening to our daughter wriggle and kick. Jane played music to the bump. She was trying to turn her into a Stevie Nicks fan in utero. We put the ultrasound picture up by our bedside. We knew we'd love our baby. We were going to call her Lucy. I can't tell you how we felt when Jane went into labor. It was hideous. They sedated her heavily. I passed out and was taken from the birthing room to revive. They never let us look at the babies before they were incinerated, but I saw them anyway. Just a mush of mangled limbs and tortured faces. The star children. That's what they called pregnancies like ours. The twin babies conceived under the light of those weird double stars and undetectable as twins on any ultrasound. No one could tell us which baby was our daughter and which was the copy. In the womb, they'd both been the aggressors. They'd each wrapped their tiny arms around the other's neck and tightened the grip until veins burst, ligaments tore, and bones crushed. Tonight, I couldn't stand the grief. I got drunk and I went outside during curfew, and I looked up through my tears at the beautiful sky. As far as I can tell with my naked eye, the star children, all of them, are moving slowly but deliberately towards the natural stars.
Man. Awesome.
Yup.
Is that a parallel dimension?
I don't know. Encroaching on ours? I don't
Yeah,
know.
right?
What are the star children? I don't know.
Is that a... Yeah, wow. Boy, oh boy.
I like that one. I love a good sci-fi story.
Me too.
We were actually just talking about this last night. We were watching Village of the Damned, which has...
Don't tell them. No, I don't know.
which has kind of a similar
I get
vibe.
weirdly protective of John Carpenter movies. I'm sorry.
Don't tell them we watched
Please
it.
don't tell anybody.
Which has a similar vibe. Village of the Damned, basically, there's a blackout in this small town for a couple hours, and everyone blacks out for a couple hours. And when they come to, within a couple weeks, they start realizing that several women in the town are pregnant.
More than several.
Yeah, like 15.
Yeah.
15 women or so in the town are pregnant, and they date the pregnancies back to the day of the blackout. And some of them are women. One was a virgin. The other, one of them whose husband had been away for a year and she hadn't slept with anyone. So I enjoy that sci-fi. You do the math. Guys, you do the math.
So
what could it be?
you do the math.
But we were just talking about it, how I really love sci-fi, and I really wish there was more sci-fi like that and like this, because a lot of the time, big budget movies at least, sci-fi movies have to take place in space on a ship, or there has to be a monster involved. But then I was realizing, like, all my favorite sci-fi horror movies were not that. Invasion of the Body Snatchers and
Right.
Village of the Damned. And
Why can't I think of the name of that indie sci-fi flick that we loved?
Coherence?
Coherence.
Yeah, Coherence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Coherence. That movie had a budget of about $85, and it's one of the best sci-fi movies I've ever seen.
It's definitely my top
It's
5
outstanding.
sci-fi
If you
movies.
haven't seen it, Coherence. I'm sure it's been talked about multiple times. So I
think I've talked
apologize
about
if you're listening and you're shouting, saying, "I know, I saw it. You told me to see it, and I saw it. Stop treating me like I'm a child." I apologize. But if you haven't, it's a really good sci-fi movie.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's on Hulu.
It's
but
on
don't quote
something.
me. Don't quote me on that.
Everything's on something these days. Except for A Few Good Men.
Yeah, A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men. We waited like 2.5 years for A Few Good Men to even be like rentable. No such luck.
No.
Aaron Sorkin apparently has that one under fucking lock and key. We had to buy a DVD and have it mailed to us like it was fucking 2008.
Oh, yeah, I had to get on eBay because I was like, I need to see this movie, and you won't let me watch it.
I had to buy that movie the way that your Aunt Paulette would buy a movie. You know, I went on the internet and I found a copy of it. It was close by. Shipping was only $2, and I got it mailed over to me, and now I have it.
You sound like a female Adam Sandler.
Well, that's not surprising.
What was I gonna say? It was
Hubie's
important.
Halloween.
Hubie's Halloween.
Can
was
we talk about
great.
Hubie's Halloween?
We can talk about Hubie's Halloween, guys.
There's no
Netflix.
reason. There's no reason that I should have
watched
that movie, given 98% of the movies that Adam Sandler has made in the last 15 years. But it seemed like it was gonna work, and boy, howdy does it work.
It fucking did.
It's Ernest Scared Stupid meets Billy Madison.
Yeah.
It's if that came out when I was 10 years old, that would have been my favorite movie.
Yeah. It was awesome. I mean, it was dumb. It was
dumb as
so
shit.
fucking dumb. It was so dumb.
It's dumb as hell. But if you're okay with something being just a little too goofy a couple times, it's otherwise very fun.
I mean, think about like being an adult and then watching Ernest Scared Stupid for the first time. Like, how would you feel?
I'm a jaded 35-year-old jerk, and I was charmed by this movie. And if you don't watch, I'm not going to do
I
it.
remember what I was going to say. We were talking about, everything's streaming somewhere these days.
Sure.
No, I was talking to Scott from Movies That Made Us Gay the other day, and we were talking about how, like, the weirdest selection of movies is usually streaming. So we were talking about, like, 80s horror movies and how hard the good ones are to find. And it was like, no, ma'am, you cannot watch Halloween, but what you can watch is Bats. It's like, I don't want to watch Bats. No one wants to watch Bats.
Well, what about Leprechaun 3?
Yeah, would you like to watch Species? No. Damn it. No.
God damn it. I didn't even want to watch Species when I was going through puberty. No. Hard pass.
Anyway, so that's all I have for today. Do you have anything else? This is a shorty, guys, and it's a shorty because I wanted to put some extra days work into your listener ghost stories episode for next week. So
this is just to tide you over.
Just
this
to hold,
is
hold
the bruschetta that arrives before
the
your
charcuterie.
before your fettuccine del mar. So if you will.
Joe used to work in really fancy restaurants.
If you will.
Don't let him talk to you that way.
How pretentious did I just sound?
Pretty pretentious, but here's the thing: like Joe
Especially
worked in
hitting
really
the hard cuss sounding
Yeah.
bruschetta.
Joe used to work in really fancy restaurants, but he also got fired one time for kicking a trash can
first of all, let me
across an
say,
entire dining room.
I've served in many capacities in restaurants, not least among them beverage director, general manager. I've been head honcho. Okay,
Yeah,
so
for
before
sure.
anybody out there, no, that's a disturbing trend these days. Brief side tangent, where it's like everybody is like thinks that like everybody's against them. Like the Lakers just won the NBA Finals, and LeBron was like, that was like from my doubters, and it's like, dude, who's fucking doubting
No
you?
one's doubting
You're
you.
fucking LeBron. It's like they said I couldn't do it. It's like you've done it 3 times before. This is the 4th time. We know you can do it.
You have your own lemonade flavored bubble gum. No
Dude,
one's
come
doubting
on,
you.
man. You're the second greatest basketball player who ever lived. That's pretty good. Chill. Anyway.
For my doubters, for those who didn't believe.
This is all the people who didn't think that I could do this. It's like,
Again.
oh, God, we've been watching you do it for 15 years, dog. Just enjoy it. Anyway, what were we talking
We
about?
were talking about that time you kicked a trash can across a dining room with
It was-
people in it.
Yeah. Okay. So, see what happened was.
See what happened was.
Nah, it was fucking deserved, man. Like I don't know what else to say about it. I had a real piece of work manager working that night. I was I was waiting tables at a very fancy restaurant in the Bryant Park Hotel in New York City, New York. And I had a drunk layabout for a manager who was just a worthless person, where it's like, even outside these walls, I know you're worthless, but you're especially worthless while you're here. But anyway, there was one night we were understaffed, like I said, very busy restaurant. And I got fed lunch for 4 hours. I just got my ass handed to me, running around for 4 hours, no manager in sight, just totally on an island, all of us just getting buried all night long, because this dude is, per usual, getting loaded in the manager's office. Comes down once things have died down a little bit, smelling like booze, comes in and pokes his head in, and I let him have it. I was like, dude, where the hell were you? We were getting crushed. And he wanted to turn it into a conversation about how I can't talk to a manager that way. And I told him how I felt about that. And I was fired on the spot. And a la Bobby Knight getting kicked out of a college basketball game, I decided to make it official. And
if you're gonna go out, go out swinging.
I'm already going out, so I lined up, and the little office waste bins. We were in like the little server hutch in the corner. I lined up like Pele, and I soccer starred one, just full on stepped into it, kicked the shit out of that waste bin, and meant to kick it into the wall that was right in front of it, and instead sent it no less than 20 feet across the dining room, airborne.
Trash everywhere.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. And then was escorted off the premises by hotel security.
Weird.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you.
Were they scared of you?
No. Who, the security guys?
No. I know I met security guys that work at hotels and bars and clubs.
Yeah, no.
They're not scared of you.
No, these security guys were not scared of me. No, but they should have been, because I'm dangerous.
Because I'm a dangerous guy.
So anyway,
I
feel like that's a weird place to leave a Spooky Stories episode.
I know. Well, you know where we should.
And it turns out I was dead.
Yeah, he was dead
I was dead the whole time.
And jokes on
Bye,
you.
everybody.
No, the how we should end it is by thanking DarkAlliGator, Emma, Gabriel, and BT again, and giving them a round of applause.
Hey,
because
BT
those
Dub,
stories-
I got something to tell you. Your story was great. All their stories were good. Emma, everybody,
everyone. I know. I
was
curated a
real-
very nice collection of short horror stories.
That was outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well. Hey, good on you. Mm-hmm. Great job, kiddo.
Thanks.
Real proud of you as always.
Thank you.
And it's always a thrill to be on and be with
thank you
you
for
and all of
coming
your
on
lovely
and
listeners.
listening to these
Hey,
spooky stories.
happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah.
From my family to yours.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much. Those were all really, really great. I really enjoyed reading your stories. That is all the time we have this week for Keep It Weird. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We hope you got a few tricks and treats out of these creepy tales. Next week, join us for our final Halloween episode of the year, an extra spooky listener ghost stories. Follow us on Instagram at Keep It Weirdcast. Actually, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever at Keep It Weirdcast. Check out our Patreon at www.patreon.com/keepitweirdpodcast and buy some of our merch at www.etsy.com/shop/keepitweirdpodcast. As for a sign off this week, I just wanted to tell you guys to really enjoy the last week of October, even though it's been a wretched year and we've got a huge event coming up directly after Halloween that I'm sure has some of you a little stressed out, as it does me. Just enjoy yourselves. Do your best to pretend that none of this is going on. Do you have any advice to give them, Joe? We've started... Oh, you don't know this. You're not Lauren. We've started to, during our sign-offs, just giving a little words of encouragement.
I'm not Lauren?
You're not Lauren. No. You could never be.
Who am I?
Who am I? Jean Valjean.
Who am I?
Do you have any advice or words of encouragement for our sweet weirdos?
Oh, man, words of encouragement. Jeez.
From you, yeah, from the bottom of your heart.
Yeah, wow. Well, words of encouragement, I guess I would just say, go vote.
Yeah. Please?
Go
Please?
vote.
Please?
Yeah. Go have a great fucking Halloween. Make it spooky. Make it scary. Just think back to all of those great Halloweens you spent as a kid. Just being
Before
so
2016.
just feeling the weight of that bucket or pillowcase, whatever it was you were transporting that haul of candy in, getting heavier and heavier with each house, and just think about how great life can be and how hopefully it can be again. So let's all just fucking dig in and really stake our claim as a generation here and try to get this shit back on track, shall we?
I think that's some good advice. And keep it weird, you guys.
Keep it weird.
Are you ready?
How many times can you ask me if I'm ready?
Are you ready?
Now I am.
Think about it.